Oh my God.
Diddle-a-doo.
This makes me so happy. Oh my God. Ivan did a very dramatic on the back end. No. So I wanted you all not to miss it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh. It works. It works. Yay, pink haired ladies. Chat. You're embarrassing me. Be sweet, okay? I mean, her name is Pink Haired Lady, so that's not wrong. How are you? Thank you for coming back.
Good. Yay. Thank you for having me back. It's been so long.
Year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I decided to come back for my yearly checkup.
Yeah, that's what it is. Oh no, wait till I tell you, I am not your doctor.
Oh, shit.
Wait, I'm checking. I'm checking. Last time you were here was November 2020, so it's less than a year. Shazwam! Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Awesome. Look at us.
Yeah. Look at us.
Wrapping it up.
Look at us.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? God, I love you so much.
Yay!
Okay. All right. Welcome back. Everybody say hi, Allie. Thank you for being. Oh my God, I'm so glad your internet is working. I had flashbacks. Yeah.
There's always something. Like, I can't start a stream myself without either muting the audio.
Yeah, I did that too.
Stuttering out. Oh my God. Well, yeah. I mean, as long as you check your boxes, you're going to have a good stream. So.
That's right. You got to F up in every place possible, and then that'll work. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the code.
That's right. It'd be like that. It'd be like that. Thank you so much for being back. Okay, so you were all like, hey, we got to talk. And I was like, what? Anytime. And you're like, but I have a topic. And I was like, hold it in your pants. I will come back to you. And you did. And so tell us the topic we're talking about. Oh, by the way, hi everybody. This is Mxiety. This is Allie Baker. I'm cutting through all the normal, entry level stuff. So tell us what you wanted to talk about today, Allie.
I wanted to talk about like people pleasing a little bit and trauma and how that feeds into like the trauma response of constantly wanting to like feed into other people's happiness instead of like just greeting your own.
Yes. And I will add there, especially people you don't know, like wanting to please people who have no connection to you as a human in any shape or form.
Totally. Yeah. You're just like tracing the dragon, so to speak, all the time. Like, trying to like fulfill people's wishes, and you're like, why am I doing this?
You're like, I'm getting not much out of this. I don't even know this person, but I want them to like me so bad.
Like this past year I took off, like ever since college basically, I've been kind of trying to like grind and do the streaming thing, do the hosting thing, and I never just like kind of stopped and like took a break and stepped back from everything and just looked at it. And like, after this last year, like, oh my God, like there's just certain like people, I didn't even know what people pleasing was until like this past year. I was like, excuse me, what? Boundaries are like, that's a thing I can.
What? Yeah.
Boundaries.
Boundaries. Yeah.
I was I feel like as women too, like we're kind of taught as a young age to like,
you have to be a doormat.
And like, make other people happy, but you're never told to lay down your own boundaries. Like I was always taught to like be cordial and courteous around people and like, be like really proper at the dinner table, but no one ever taught me about boundaries. So like, I don't know. I feel like it's just one of those things like,
well, you're not supposed to have boundaries as a woman. I think that's the implication that like as a woman, your boundaries are whatever other people need. And your job is to be constantly running after that. So like the people pleasing is just like inherent in.
It feeds into it.
It was definitely the lesson that I was taught. Like my body was for guys to like. That was even like those are the lessons I got. Maybe I'm not saying my mom got like parent of the year, but those are lessons I got like straight from my parents, where they were like, oh, you look like that? Like you're not worried that a boy will never love you?
And change. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or boys are gonna think you're a slut. Who cares what they think?
I don't care what they think. Yeah. And it's so freeing now, like as an adult, to be like, oh, I don't really care what anyone thinks about me, or like not constantly be like, and I'm still like trying to like unlearn stuff. Like I can't go running without like looking at someone being like, oh God, did they stare at me? Oh God, what?
Tell
what
us the story, because you were running and you were being catcalled again, huh?
Oh no. I find it really frustrating that as women we can't just go running with a sports bra, and like I get honked at a lot, which is like doesn't sound like the worst thing, but honestly, like
It's not comfortable.
I've been straight up startled. Like it's just awkward. Like I don't know what people really are expecting. Like what you're gonna like honk at me and be like, oh thank you, you know?
Yeah, like oh my God. Yeah, no, I once was in New York City and this guy leaned out. It was a taxi driver. He leaned out of his taxi to yell at me. And I don't think he expected it because I bonked down on his hood and was like, fuck you.
Dude, yeah, that's kind of my mentality now. And I think it's just because I lived in the city for a while. Like for me, when people honk, I associate that with aggressiveness.
Yes.
So like even if you just tap your horn like lightly, I'm like, dude, like what did I do?
Chill out, man.
Like,
chill out. I don't need this, okay?
Yeah, it like stresses me out.
Yeah.
And like that's like the one time of day that I'm just like I'm trying to like find my zen. I'm like that's like my meditation, like my meditation. So like it is really frustrating when I'm just trying to like relax and unwind and someone's like, you know, like okay, we get it. You have a horn. You know how to use it.
Congratulations. Can you do it over there? Thank you.
Yeah, they should have like a honk card or something, and like after like 3 like undesignated honks, like they should just revoke your like privilege.
They just take out the horn out of your car.
Yeah, it's gone. You lost it, buddy.
Sorry. And if you get a used car, you better get it from somebody who doesn't honk a lot.
Yeah, if you need it, I mean, man, you are out of luck, man.
Yeah,
should have used it when I counted.
I love. Wait, is your water bottle Fallout?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It had one 11 on it, but it's definitely been through the apocalypse. Let's say that.
Yeah, good. It'll be very useful. It's soon enough. Soon enough. The way we're going.
Yay!
But yeah, no, catcalling sucks, and it's one of those. It's another one of those things that just like also as a woman, I think we're taught to like take for granted. Like I was brought up, my sister would be like, just put in your headphones and ignore it. Right. Yeah. And that's how we're taught to deal with stuff online too. Just like, you know, put your chat in slow mode and ignore it. And
that is such a good point.
Doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't make it go away, and it doesn't teach people better manners. I'm not saying you have to, like, any of us have to go and do the emotional labor of doing that. But it doesn't fix the problem, so the problem persists, is my point.
Totally. And I think also just working in entertainment, that's very cyclical too. Like you are kind of you go on auditions, like whatever it is you're doing. Like if you're an actor, you go on auditions, you're trying to feed into other people of what they want, what they need from you. And at the end of the day, it's like, I know, like if I keep sitting here trying to be someone else, I'm just going to be a second-rate version of that person. Because you're never going to be the best version of someone. Yeah. You can only be the best version of yourself. So, like, now I'm just trying to, like, do me. And honestly, like, I'm like, why didn't I do this like 10 years sooner?
Yeah,
like,
there's definitely
hard to unlearn.
It's so hard to unlearn. It's so like, so I know we could talk about, you know, you don't have to go into details of your trauma, but for me, for my trauma, the issue was that the person that I was constantly trying to appease, which was my stepmom, never gave me any kind of feedback. So I always was trying to be like, okay, now does she like me? And I always had to be like super in tune with her moods to be like, oh, she's in a good mood today, so I have to make sure she likes me today and tomorrow. And like you restart that whole process every single day.
That is exactly it. You just get into this like feedback loop of just like mind reading because you always have to be one step ahead.
Yep.
To like survive essentially. And honestly, my last relationship was like that. And I grew up like that too. Like my mom was also kind of the same way. She's very German. She had a stomach ache. Actually, I went to the allergist the other day and she was like, do your parents have allergies? I was like, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think so, but even if my mom did, she's really German, so she would never admit it. I asked her for Tums once, and she was like, I've never had a stomach ache, never. I was like, okay, mom, okay.
Okay, but I still need that Tums, so.
Oh my God. Yeah, but I feel like especially if you grow up with that in your household, like people pleasing is definitely, if you grew up around parents who are very kind of needy or ask you to do a lot of things, that definitely kind of feeds into your adult life. And that's kind of what I've realized. Like, up until now, I was really attracted to people who had that same kind of archetype
Yup.
where I was constantly like giving and giving and giving and then not really getting anything in return and just wondering like, why am I so unfulfilled, you know?
Yeah. Well, yes, that's exactly it. Like that's
Yeah,
hitting the nail on the head because you're like, why why don't I ever feel like me? And that's because you're not. You're always trying to mold
yeah.
into something else. And you're like,
You're
who
trying to
am I?
project this person that
Yes.
you think that they want you to be and that they've expressed that they want you to be. But at the end of the day, if someone can't love you for who you want to be, then they're really worth your time.
Right. Well, how long can you keep up the charade of being somebody else?
Yeah, exactly. And it
Yeah.
just honestly it becomes exhausting. And I actually think there are a lot of content creators that kind of after COVID kind of hit a wall this past year and just kind of
Mm.
realized, "Oh my god, like, you know, now that we're like kind of all starting to focus on our mental health more, being like, okay, let me take a step back. Like I don't need to like, you know, be on all the time." Like that's the biggest lesson that I've learned in the last year is just like, I don't know, I even just canceling a stream, I would like stew about it for like 2 days, like just be like, am I making the right decision? I'm letting people down. It's like, yeah, but are you letting yourself down? And are you going to become like, if it's going to make you like ill, like
Yeah.
you might as well
But
just
it
do.
doesn't, it feels like it doesn't matter to anybody else, right?
Yeah, and it's actually you were talking about this today I saw it's so hard to frame things in the point of like when you go out to help someone, you always want to put other people first, but when it comes to myself, I never look at myself through the lens that I look at other people.
Yeah.
And now that I'm starting to do that, I'm like, wow, I should be like a lot nicer to myself cuz that girl's not that bad, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Why do I think I got to a point, it even sounds selfish saying it out loud, but I think I got to a point where I
Yeah.
was like, wait, why am I super nice to everybody else, but not myself? Why don't I deserve the
Yeah.
same nicety? Like, why? There was
Totally.
a definitely like it was a lot of work with a therapist because I remember the moment where he was like,
Oh my
why do
God.
you think you're a piece of trash? And I was like,
Yeah.
and he's like, well, if you start every interaction being like, I'm less than you, and then you're always
Yeah.
trying to make up for something, and that's why you're one upping yourself and trying to be something
Yeah.
you're not, and all those things, he goes, then you're never going to feel good about yourself because you start every
Totally.
interaction being like, well, I'm the piece of crap that doesn't deserve to even talk to this person. And then there was
Yeah.
a reframe, like slowly, where my brain went, wait, but why are they? But some people aren't nice. Like I would go, you go out of your way to
Yeah.
like bend into these shapes, and then there's still an asshole, and you're like, wait, but
Yeah.
why? I
But
I
wait,
don't.
you're telling me I can't just be nice to everyone and succeed in life? Like,
Oh my god! But that is the
damn
lesson we are taught. That is
it. Yeah.
definitely the lesson. If you do
Especially
everything
as
right,
women, yeah.
yes. If you do
I think that's
everything
true.
right, if you do everything right and according to the rule book, you get ahead.
Mhm.
And I think Twitch
Yeah.
is a great example of like that is not how that works.
No, not at
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think a lot of content creators kind of they have that same mentality of like and I'm not saying all of them, but a
No,
lot of
no.
them have that same mentality of like, oh, I'm trashed. And part of that feeds into why we're content creators almost like because people with that kind of
Can,
personality
can
type
me. Yeah.
want to like nurture and
Yeah.
like help and make sure that people never feel like the way that we felt and like just entertain people. So i
Yeah.
think I think that's why like a lot of my content creator friends this past year that I know of just have kind of just hit that wall and they're like, oh damn, like boundaries what like
It's the boundary wall, and it's
yeah,
the world is literally on the brink of like complete collapse, and I
yeah,
am sitting here and I don't know who I am. Like
yeah,
you start setting priorities after a while, you know what I mean? Like it
yeah,
puts a lot of things in perspective. I feel like one of the things that it put in perspective is like I'm constantly running at, like on Twitter, I'm constantly running and trying to get the approval of people who I will never meet. And meanwhile, there
me
are
too. Yeah, it's like this constant. Yeah, especially this last year, I another wall I hit was with Twitter, like where I just literally, I've been on Twitter since like 2006, and since 2006 I haven't once stepped back. It was like my best friend for so long, and I just got to a point where I was like, dude, like I'm relying on this for so much. Like, why don't I just find that validation somewhere else? And it was literally the hardest thing ever. Like, I'm like an only child. Like, that was like, aside from my cat who doesn't speak English, you know, like
He doesn't?
um yeah, that was like just taking a month off and like deactivating my account so I couldn't cheat. Like, that was huge, man.
Proud of you.
Heck.
No, that is huge. That is absolutely massive because it becomes a part of your life and it's part of your routine, right? Like I go brush my teeth, then I check my Twitter, and then like it becomes so part of you. And again, like you're running after these people that you'll never meet, and then meanwhile, I would have a message on my phone unread from somebody who is like maybe not down the street but like lives an hour away from me, who's like, hey, when are we gonna hang out? And I'm like, no, wait, I really have to get the attention of some person who will never give a shit about me on Twitter, and it's just,
dude, same. We all just get so wrapped up in it, and it's easy too. Like, as a content creator, there's so many different like avenues to go down. There's so many different platforms. There's so many different ways to make content. So it's like, I don't know, just like not like falling down the rabbit hole, like with social media and all of that is so difficult in and of itself.
Yeah. Like, no, but it lends itself to that. Yeah. It lends it makes you, that's how it thrives, right? Like, I think inherently, psychologically, and this is not like, I'm not totally pulling this out of my butt. This is like factual. We want to be like humans want to belong to the bigger herd, right? And so Twitter
Everyone
literally
wants to just find their people.
Right. And Twitter literally created this space where it's like, here, I'm going to throw you in with your kinds of people. Mm-hmm. And you're always going to have that pull of like, am I inadequate? How do I compare myself to others? Like, is that, and that feeds itself. And like the algorithm feeds you tweets that it knows. Like, for example, I started noticing there are people I wasn't following, but I would stop on their tweets when somebody else liked them. And then their tweets start showing up in my feed, like instead of even people that I follow. And I'm like, I gotta stop. And it was stuff that I was like not liking, but it was enough that I would stop and look at it, that was enough for the algorithm to be like, oh, you hate read stuff. Oh, I'm going to give you more of that.
That's what would happen to me too. And you actually mentioned something before, like the comparing, like growing up, my mom, she didn't do this like purposefully. She's just, very German, didn't realize like the depth of what this would do to a little kid, but like she would compare me to other kids. And so anytime I go on Twitter, like it is impossible for me to like not go down that rabbit hole of being like just comparing myself to other people and like,
why did you get a B? Jessica came home and she got an A on that test and you got a B. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And unlearning that is so hard, and especially when it's being like spoon fed to you, like, here, have some more. Like
it is. Yeah.
How do you unlearn that and then also not like stay addicted,
Yeah. So, well, you have to, you shut off, you recenter completely, you figure out what your priorities are. And I feel like that's what you're saying is a lot of people for the pandemic were like, I don't know what my priorities are. And now that I don't have this, because people were in a routine. Like I go hang out with, I was in a routine. I would go and hang out with my friends every Friday. And then I would stream on these days. And then I would hang out with these people on these days. And that routine is taken away. And you're like, wait, what am I without this stuff that I just did because I thought I had to do it?
Totally. Yeah. Like your whole backbone is kind of ripped out and you're like, now what?
Yeah. Now what? Now what? So what does this cause you to do? Like, let's talk about what actually came through from this, from you being like, I'm people pleasing way too much. So like, what did you decide to do about it?
Oh man, I've just honestly, I've been kind of relearning just who I am and what I like. Especially just this last year. I feel like a year ago, I was in kind of disrepair from like the relationship that I was in. I was just trying so hard to be someone that I wasn't, that I just got to this point where I was like, I don't know who I am anymore. And like, it was strange because I kept grasping at like past versions of myself, being like, I liked this alley, like, let me just like kind of pull this back. But then I kind of realized like, I'm not that same person anymore. And that's okay. I just need to figure out who I am now.
Right.
And like, that's definitely taken time, but just kind of like being able to like sit in silence and just kind of figure out what I want, or like not necessarily what I feel like I need to do, but like what I want out of my day, like what makes me happy. Like, man, it's been like a process.
Yeah. Well, because
Yeah.
that's another thing we take for granted. Because I think it's one of those, like, I would talk to my therapist and he would be like, figure out what you like. And I'm like, yeah, I don't have time for that. And I would just like, you just roll with everything you have to
Yeah.
do. And you never like stop and ask yourself, what do I want? What is this about? What is important to me?
Yeah.
And then you like, because it's uncomfortable. Honestly, that stuff is uncomfortable to think about. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not comfy cozy times to be like existential crisis time.
Yeah, and I think for me too, like so much of my not personality necessarily, but so much of my identity was tied to my career too.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and being able to like literally this year just take a step back, like since college, I've just been going, 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 going. And like being able to take a step back. And I can't tell you how many times this past year I was like, I'm not doing enough. It's never gonna work. And I was just like freaking out because I felt like taking this time off for me was like literally the worst thing that could have possibly happened. But now that I'm here, I'm like, oh my God, like, why didn't I just do that sooner? Like,
Oh, I'm
because
being
it's,
called the fuck out. You don't even know. I was literally just talking to the community about like, I know I need a
yeah,
hiatus, but I don't know when to take it in a
because
way.
you don't know what to do with yourself. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that's what it was like for me anyways. Like I was like, how is this gonna play out? Like, and I had so many mental break, like just moments of being like, I don't know who I am without this. And like feeling like it was over and like I'll never work again. Just like the most ridiculous stuff, just because I'm taking a break. Not like everything isn't going to cease to exist. It'll still be there when you come back. But it's so hard to like imagine that in the moment because you're so used to like kind of hanging on to that thread and being like, oh, what's the next thing?
Yeah,
Oh, what's the
I
next
picked
thing?
two careers.
Yeah.
I do my 9 to 5, and then I was like, I'm gonna pick another career on top of that and do content creation. And that's exactly when
Yeah.
my therapist was like, you have to figure out what you like outside of that. I was like, no, I have 2 jobs. I don't have time to figure out what I like outside of that. And he's like, that's why you need to, because you need to not be working and just
Yeah.
like see what that's like for you. I was like, this is not English. I have no idea what you're saying.
This is like an alien language to me. Yeah. Well, that's how I feel all the time, is like an alien, but I'm sure that's how most people feel, especially after COVID.
Yeah.
I feel like we all have like a part of that in us now almost. Especially after like being stuck at home, and then like I just got like right after COVID ended, I got like just 2 waitressing jobs, like super simple, but like it was like literally like getting smacked in the face with like, here's your social anxiety, deal with it, like and honestly that's helped me a lot too, is just like putting myself out there, like putting myself in situations where I'm uncomfortable, where I have to make boundaries for myself. Like it's been a really good test run. And like dealing with like workplace drama, because there's always one person that, not everyone's gonna like you, obviously.
Impossible. I will make everyone like me.
But especially in like a workplace scenario, I mean, you definitely have ways that you deal with it, but like there's always going to be snafus. And honestly, just this last year of like kind of having that reset and like having these little instances to be like, okay, well, like I can kind of deal with anything that hits me. I just needed to step away.
Oh my God. That was another moment. I was talking about this recently. That was another moment I have where I was like, if I could deal with the apocalypse, I feel like I can deal with most things that I thought were the end of the world.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. But it's just crazy how much in the moment we feel like everything does feel like the end of the world sometimes. Like, especially if we're having like an anxiety attack, a panic attack, I mean, I still have that. So I get it.
Woo, fun times, fun activities. So have you been, I think you kind of mentioned this in the back end, so I don't want to talk for you too much, but like, have you
Yeah.
been going to therapy or did you stop or,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
For the past year, I've been doing DBT therapy, which is like,
Ooh, dialectical
yeah,
behavioral therapy. We're fans here.
huzzah! Yeah, so I've been just trying to unlearn stuff. And yeah, she's honestly been great. I like, well, this is actually interesting. I actually wanted to talk about this. I had a therapist that I was kind of holding on to from New York, who she had like kind of mentioned to me, like, oh, like I don't do therapy anymore. I only do life coaching. And honestly, at the
Okay.
time, I had come from living in New York where getting a psychiatrist cost me like $500 a session, and it was only $50 a session for this. And I was like, whatever, she's been a great therapist. She was a great therapist. Okay, she was my therapist when I was a kid, like
Mm-hmm.
a teenager. And I was like, she's been so great up until now, like what could go wrong? And then with my PTSD, I kept telling her like, oh, I'm having these PTSD episodes. And she was like, that's not PTSD, Allie. That's PTSD is what veterans get. I was like,
Oh, she like
okay.
totally invalidated you.
Yeah,
Oh
she
my God.
completely invalidated me. And it
Oh, that's some
actually,
shit. Oh.
yeah, it actually took me having like a crisis and calling her in the middle of the night because I was panicking. I thought that like I thought that like, I was having a PTSD episode. I thought that like my partner was trying to hurt me. He wasn't. Everything was cool. But like I was like freaking out in the moment. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm panicking. And I called her and she was like, well, I don't know what to tell you, then leave. And I was like, what? Like, and after that, I just realized like, oh my God, like if my therapist isn't serving me, like I stuck around for so long, and this like feeds into the people
Yeah.
pleasing too.
Yeah.
I stuck around with this therapist that clearly wasn't helping me, clearly just wanted to make a paycheck because I wanted to be nice and because she was a friend. But honestly, your therapist shouldn't be your friend.
No. And you're, well, that and your therapist isn't, I'm not saying your therapist is just there to agree with you, but if you
Yeah.
start feeling like you have to like mince words and move around to like
Yeah.
say the right thing to your therapist, that's not a good
Yeah.
therapist. You should be
Totally.
able to be yourself. And I mean, unless you're like talking about like killing people, I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe a therapist would be alarmed about that. But like generally, you should be
Always
able
good,
to,
right?
right. But like generally, you should be able to just be yourself and talk about like, hey, I was thinking about this thing and I know it's crazy and like, but I was thinking about that. And like
Yeah.
a therapist's job is to be like, not endorsing what you're thinking, not saying that's the right thing or the wrong thing, but be like,
Yeah.
let's talk about why you're thinking that. What makes you think that thing? And let's challenge it. And let's,
Yeah.
like, that's what a therapist does. They don't tell you you just don't have PTSD. They're like, I checked, you don't have PTSD because I don't want you to.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, that was so messed up. And honestly, I think just for what it was, and I kind of think it's more of a reflection of the state of our mental health care and just like how
Oh, yeah.
expensive it can be for
Oh,
some
yeah.
people, how it's not nearly as accessible as it should be to most. But like, I just kind of stuck around, and I think the style of her being, what's it called, a life coach, like she was trying to tell me like, oh, if you're going to be, I told her I started streaming again and I'm doing 3 days a week and it felt really great and I was on a good track. And she was like, well, that's not nearly enough. Actually, the G4 thing was happening then. And I was like, I just want to like make a good impression, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, oh no, you can't be doing that. There's people going to work from 9 to 5. You should be getting up and streaming every day from 9 to 5. And I was like, I should? And she's like, yeah, otherwise there's no way they're going to pick you. And I was like, oh God. And she was like feeding these ideas into my head. And like, here's the thing with therapy. Your therapist should never steer you in a direction. They should always let you kind of come to the conclusions
Yes.
on your own.
Yes.
And
Therapist guide. Yes.
yeah, what I needed in that moment was a therapist, and what I was getting was a life coach, and it was just not good for my mental health at all. I completely overworked myself. I just had a full on breakdown because
Shit.
like I just worked myself too hard. I didn't sleep enough. And then I had that PTSD episode, and that's basically when I took the break, and I was like, okay, I need to take a step back from this. I need to reassess like who's in my inner circle. Like I need a new therapist, obviously.
Shit.
And like from there I kind of rebuilt, but like I just want people to know, like, if you have a therapist or even a life coach or someone in your life who's kind of telling you like how you should be living your life, don't like, you need to live life how you feel, like whatever you think is best for you. And I know how hard it is to kind of listen to yourself sometimes, but man, like that like did a number on me. Like you can walk away at any point.
Yeah.
Please just walk away. Like,
oh my God. That Reddit post that was like, you can run the dishwasher twice.
yeah. Oh, I haven't heard that one.
Okay. So hold on. It's this woman, and she talks about the fact that she like went to her therapist, and she's like, and I'm just like so stressed out because I have this dishwasher and I have to wash my dishes before I put them in because the stupid dishwasher doesn't wash the dishes. And then she's like telling him all this stuff, and he's like, and the therapist tells her, he's like, you can run the dishwasher twice. And she's like, what? No, I can't. I'm supposed to just run the dishwasher and it's supposed to work. And he's like, yeah, but like if it doesn't, you can run it twice. There's no like rule. We like select these rules.
Yeah.
And so like she's making our life harder by washing the dishes before putting them in. But like, why don't you just run the dishwasher twice? Like, it's okay. That's okay. And the point the post was making was that like, we make rules for ourselves that we're like, the world works this way. And I understand why we do that, because like that's comfy for our brains to be like, oh, I got it. Like order, right? But some things are out of order, and you do have to think of them from that outside perspective of like, just run the dishwasher. And so I use that now as like a what do you call it?
It's a good analogy.
Analogy, but it's a good affirmation. I can just run the dishwasher twice. Just run the dishwasher twice. Just repeating that to yourself.
Yeah. That is a good one. Yeah. I also think like the whole like kind of after my trauma, wanting to like kind of like get back in touch with old Allie and not knowing who I was, I felt like I really just so badly needed my therapist from like when I was younger. I was like, oh, well, she was my therapist. Like
she's got
all growing up. She knows me. She understands me. Like this is, I need this. But I was just kind of trying to clutch to something that anything I could hold, because at the time, like my brain was like,
well, it made sense to you. I don't think it's like the wrong decision. It's the one you needed to make at the time, right?
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I just... like you can walk away.
Yeah.
At any point, you can just get up and leave
and be like, no, this isn't for me. Yeah. There's no rule. I mean, like, yes, we owe people things, but when it's a business relationship like therapy, like that's not the same. I felt
like I owed her something, honestly, because she had done so much for me and she was so great growing up. But like all of those memories that I had of her, like, those were in the past. Like she wasn't helping me in the present. So it was like, it was kind of a moot point that I was making.
Yes.
You know?
You're hanging on to somebody that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. And that's a big thing too, is just like, and I feel like a lot of us probably did this during COVID, was just like romanticize like a lot of different people and like opportunities, because like just sitting at home and being on the internet gave so many of us FOMO, because we were just like, I would rather be anywhere else right now. You know, like, it was just a crazy time.
Yeah, you really have to like you're kind of forced. The reason I think mental health and self-care is so huge right now is because you really freaking have to like yourself if you're going to spend it in self-isolation. Like whether you're with a partner, you know, and you live with a partner or you live by yourself, you better freaking like yourself.
Yeah, because for sure.
You have nowhere to escape from it most of the time while we're isolating and all of that stuff. It was a big slap in the face. Yeah.
It's crazy. Like 3 or 4 years back, I couldn't even like sit in a room by myself. I would have to like put on music. Like I just didn't want to be alone with my thoughts.
I think a lot of people are like that.
Terrified. Yeah. But like since then, oh my God, it's taken years, but like, whew. You can get there.
I strongly believe that too. And and again, like if you feel like the doctor's not serving you, the doctor is not serving you. I strongly support clients in connecting them with another therapist if they're not a good fit, either from the start as people change over time. That was, I mean, look, and I was super sad. I had to walk away from a therapist because she just did not understand. My stress was in streaming. And like, that was a lot of my, and like, she just didn't get it. Like, she was like, so what if you're looking for approval? Oh, the big thing, it wasn't even like red flags. She never said anything that was like bad. She was just like, so what if you're looking for approval from other people? That's not a bad thing. So what if you're pushing yourself? That's not a bad thing. And I'm like, it's not, but aren't I doing it too much? Because I kind of hate myself right now. And she's like, I don't know why you're looking for approval from so many strangers. And then I had to like talk to somebody who gets the space, who gets Twitch, who gets geek and nerd stuff. And then all of a sudden things connected. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. Honestly, it was the same exact thing with the therapist I had to walk away from. I was kind of just being like, well, what is this person? Like, I was kind of just like focusing so much, like hyper focusing almost on like wanting to like, you know, make other people happy and like, what does this person think? What does this person think? And she's like, why do you care so much? And like, yes, I get that at one, like it on one end of the spectrum, but on the other, like, I feel like she didn't really understand like the gaming space or the streaming space or just content creation, because you're kind of just slapped in the face with it constantly, whether you like it or not. And I think she's like more of a like TV kind of person. So, I mean, they don't really deal with like that kind of,
I don't know, man. I don't know. She just, I have a whole beefsteak with life coaches. My experience with one is that I had asked, basically I did social media for a life coach in exchange for life coaching. Because at the time I couldn't access therapy, similar to you. But so I was doing this like quid pro quo thing. And I was like, I can't bring myself to publish anything online. I can't bring myself to write. And he's like, well, if you don't do it, then nobody's going to do it. Just sit down and do it and stop complaining about it. Stop talking about it. And I remember like I hung up on him and I never talked to him after that. I just stopped doing his social. I was just like, I was done. I was like, first of all, why, this isn't helping me. Why are you yelling at me? He like yelled at me.
That's literally what happened to me when I was like, I think I'm having like a panic. I told her I think I'm having like a PTSD like episode. Like, I think like my partner wants to hurt me. And she was like, she like literally yelled at me because I called her in the middle of the night. And, you know, your therapist is supposed to have your back in a crisis, which is why I called her in the middle of the night.
Right.
She just turned around and screamed at me and was like, well, I don't know what to tell you, then Allie, leave. And I was like, that like literally shook me to my core, and I like just immediately hung up.
Because it's like it's so dismissive. It's so like, these problems don't matter to me.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, I think the most important thing that I've got out of therapy as of recently, and I had to like go through one to find the one I really liked, but just finding someone who validates me constantly and makes me feel heard, like, that is so much.
But we don't get that. I don't get that from my day-to-day life. Like, my husband validates me, yes, but like, it's different, and it's a very different relationship. But like, I need, basically the way I see my therapist is like, it's that other voice in my head. Okay, so I've talked about this before. This is gonna sound absolutely nutso, so keep up with me. But I feel like there's like three voices that are constantly talking in my head. And the first one is the consistent conscious. That's like, ooh, that wasn't a good thing that you did. Oh, that was a mistake. And then the second one is usually like the reassuring one. That's like, hey, I know you messed up, but that's okay. People make mistakes. But then when like depression is like this third shit ass voice that is like, no, actually you're a piece of shit because you made a mistake. And it's always louder than the second voice. And I feel like your therapist's job is to take that third voice and to be like, no. This is not how we talk, and like explaining that to you. Totally. And part of that is validating and being like, yo, I understand you're yelling at yourself, and I get that you're already doing that enough. I don't need to yell at you. Let's talk about why you're yelling at yourself. Like, I need you to ask me why.
Exactly. And just take a step back and be like, hey, like, the way you're feeling totally makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
And take it from there. Cause honestly, at the end of the day, I just want to feel heard. And after that, like anything she says, I'm just like, oh yay. Like, like, I don't know. I grew up in an environment where I also like wasn't validated a lot too. So to have someone who does that for me now is just, and it's funny because like up until now, I've only had a therapist that didn't validate me. So it's
Yeah.
like my life has changed so much just from finding that one thing,
It's so wild because it's such a look. It's such a simple thing, and it costs like as humans, right? It costs me nothing
Yeah.
for you to be like, "Yo, I'm feeling like shit," and for me to be like, "Allie, that sucks." Like those are
Yeah.
such, and I know it's a Parks and Rec quote too, but like there's such powerful words. Just saying that if you don't know what to say,
Yeah, dude.
yeah,
With the couple, I forgot their names, but I know exactly what you're talking
Rob
about.
Lowe and not Rob Lowe.
Yeah, and oh god, I love her. She's great.
Rashida Jones.
Rashida Jones. Yeah.
We made it.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's such a good one. Yeah, especially honestly, I have that issue with my partner a lot too, where like I'll like have a problem and I'll be like really frustrated about something and he'll be like trying to fix it. And I'm like, no, I just need you to be like, that sucks,
Yeah.
Like, that's all I need. You don't have to fix everything.
Yeah.
It is so powerful. And like, even just like with my friends now, after like kind of having this like aha moment of like, oh, this is so nice. Like, how come I didn't know about this sooner? Like, whenever one of my friends complains to me or is just like having a bad day, I'm like, that genuinely sucks. Like, and like, that totally makes sense that you feel like that, Because like,
yeah,
totally.
Yeah. Well, I think what people confuse is that like your feelings are valid, and what people confuse that with is your feelings are rational. Mm-hmm. Not all your feelings are rational, but they're still valid.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think because I feel like I've seen that like way too much where you'd be like all feelings aren't valid. I'm like no. You can feel whatever the fuck you're feeling. Like it doesn't, but you don't have to act on it. You don't have to do something rash over it, but you could still feel that thing. Like that's okay to feel the thing.
Yeah, and definitely.
That was for me personally.
Just mind blowing.
Yeah, seriously. But I'm glad you have like a therapist that you like. Do you feel like you're still looking, or do you feel like you found one that works for you?
I feel like I'm smooth sailing. Like this is
sweet
good stuff. Yeah,
sweet.
And I'm so glad like I stuck with it too, because I mean, at first I was like, I don't know if I like this person. Like, I don't know. I just don't know if they're for me. And like, honestly, it's worked out so great. Like she's like just so supportive and like always leads me in the right direction. Aww. by not actually bleeding
grabbing your hand and being like, go there.
Yeah, just like very gentle nudges, and like that's kind of how it should be. And like obviously everyone is different. Like if there's another therapy style that you want or that's like for you, that's fine. But like someone like me, or for someone who, maybe hasn't been validated a lot in the past, like, oh God, it is just so freeing.
It is. I think for a very long, and this may have just changed. I think for a very long time, I was of the approach that like, I need my therapist to kick my butt. Like that is what I would tell. I would meet new therapists and I'd be like, I need a therapist who will tell me I messed up and kicks my butt. And then, oh my God, I can't believe we're like so on the same wavelength with this stuff. But then I moved out of that and I was like, I don't need you to I'm kicking my own butt. I don't need you to be kicking my butt on top of that. I need somebody.
There's just two people kicking my butt. How is that helpful?
How is that? And in addition to the rest of the world also kicking my butt.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, when you grow up with like my mom was so German, she'd always like tell me, even like playing soccer. I played soccer, I ran track. So like I was always being told what to do, like in the classroom, at sports, like at home.
That's another so, like looking for validation constantly though, right? Because if you're always like taught, okay, this is how you run. And like I did that, I was like, I have to be a good student. So I'm going to do exactly what the teacher says. And then there's no teacher in real life. And you're just like, but I'm doing
exactly
what I'm told, but I'm not getting success. I don't understand. Like, I don't understand. Like, I did this thing.
Compute.
Yeah, it does not. It's like, you told me that if I post a funny clip on Twitter, people will come to the Twitch, but I posted the funny clip on Twitter and it's not doing.
Dude, I've been there.
Right?
Like, I totally hear
You
that.
know what I'm talking about? Oh, God.
Exactly.
Oh, my God.
And you're just sitting and you're like, what's going on? Where is everybody?
What I was told there would be results. There are no results.
There would be people. They're not here. Like, yeah, totally.
And then you're like, it's me. I messed up.
Yeah. Like this little like bulb just goes off and you're like, no.
Yeah. What
if it is me?
Yeah. And then your therapist comes along, your wonderful therapist comes along and goes, it's not you. The world sucks sometimes. And you're like, what? No, it's me. It's definitely me. And they're like, no, hear me out. Like, for sure, it's not you.
Yeah. Actually, one of the things that I was doing for a while, especially I still do it this year. I still catch myself. I'm more able to catch myself now, but like last year, like in the dawn of COVID, and like after I got out of that relationship, I was like constantly finding myself asking for permission to do things.
Ooh.
Which is like, and part of that was just kind of the conditioning of the relationship that I was in previously. And that's kind of like almost like a tactic to like keep people around, or I don't know, it's like a narcissistic trait or something. But I would just constantly ask for permission. And my partner actually would have to catch me on it and be like, why are you asking me? And like, and now I'm at the point finally where I'm like, I'll start to do it. And I'm like, I'll like start to ask a question. And I'm like, hey, do you know where? Wait a second.
I got it.
I'm capable.
I could do this. I figured it out.
Yeah.
I am obsessed with chat. Dr. Goose just said, if the world didn't suck, we'd all fall off. And I'm sorry. Like, this is all I can think about now.
So true.
So good. Mythic Mitch asked, can each of you share one thing that's most important to you that makes a good therapist? I think we kind of touched on it, but.
Yeah. I would say, honestly, feeling validated is the biggest one, which we kind of talked about, but also just being able to steer. For me, I like to be steered, but to like, in a way that's like, oh no, you have the tools. What do you think is the right thing to do? Like, and just also like constant like validation. Like those two together are just like the dynamic duo that always make me happy.
I agree with that. I think it's also, it's a therapist that doesn't let you be your own enemy. I think I like help you get out of your own way. I think that's what's been super, super valuable to me, because I thought it was like, I need somebody really peaceful. And before I was like, I need somebody who will kick my butt. Like, and now I feel like I'm in a place where I'm like, I just need somebody to help me get out of my own way, to like, look, I need you to describe the situation from your angle and be like,
totally,
what do you think based on that?
Lay down the roadmap, if you will.
Yeah.
And almost just like kind of put it in a different perspective. Yeah. Like from another set of eyes. That's so true. Yeah. Cause I would self-sabotage a lot. Like even this year, I actually got wrapped up in this mode of like self-sabotaging. I went back to like old Allie and started pounding energy drinks. I was like, I gotta get this all done. And then like, I was like starting to like get run down. And I was like, I think I might be on a bender. Like, I think I might be sabotaging myself. And she's like, you absolutely are. Like, and she like kind of walked me off that cliff. And I was like, okay, I haven't had this from a therapist before. This is actually really helpful.
That is awesome. That is so awesome. Man, it's really funny because energy drinks give us, that's a perfect example. They gave us this idea that like, oh, I own this. I am in power. I'm on top of the world. But like, you're just borrowing energy from future you. Like energy doesn't, it doesn't spontaneously combust and become more energy. Like, you have so much of it. So if you take an energy drink, you're just borrowing it from here, and then eventually that's totally depleted, and your body's like, no, I got nothing. I got nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was doing really good for a while. I had like cut out caffeine, and then like I was just kind of self-medicating with like energy drinks and got on that vicious cycle, but man.
Sucks. It totally sucks.
It really does.
No, like no judgment from those. Listen, some people need that. Like, it just works for me. I'm saying, like, it's bad when you like binge drink them and like make it. Yeah, that's what's bad.
Because there's always like, for every reaction, there's always an equal or opposite reaction, and that is like literally I'm so sensitive to things. So like I was pounding energy drinks, and like literally 2 days later I was like so depressed, like crying, like feeling like it was the end of the world. And it's like, I mean, that's because I literally stole my energy. Those days, like you said.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, fam is asking questions, and we only have like a few minutes. So do you mind if we answer them? Okay. So one more question from Mythic Midge. Can each of you share something that you're particularly proud of but don't get the chance to talk about very much? Go ahead.
Ooh. Oh my God. I don't know. That's a hard one.
That is a hard one, because my immediate is like making this community, but I feel like I do talk about that.
Oh, that's awesome, actually. That's so tough.
I'm really proud of the relationship I've built with my significant other. I think that's a good one.
That's awesome.
I'm really heckin' proud of that, because you know, sometimes it's not sunshine and daisies, and like, but we keep working at it, and I've gotten to the point where I can rely on the fact that we it's not that it'll always be good, it's that I know I will always work on it, and that's really cool.
Hell yeah. Honestly, I'm just kind of, this is weird, but I'm like really proud of like getting myself, because I was kind of at rock bottom for a while there, and like honestly, just in the last year, I've come like so far. Like I feel like I'm actually like me again. Like I feel like a person.
Oh, that's
whereas
awesome.
Before I was just like projecting like this version of myself that like didn't exist anymore, if that makes sense.
No, it does.
Just because like coming from that relationship, I didn't really know who I was
Yeah.
anymore. So, yay.
Oh, I love that. Oh, these are so good.
Yeah, these are good questions.
Ressa asked me, but I think it's a good question for you. How did you get over, like, how did you know, hey, I've had enough time with this break, now I can get back to it, and I'm going to get back to it with a healthier mindset? That's how I'm going to take Ressa's question and like flip it a little bit, but that's what I'm asking you.
Yeah. Oh my God. Honestly, I feel like the point where I started getting uncomfortable, like taking a step back from my career, and the point where I started to realize this sucks. I hate this. Yeah. Wait a second. Why do I hate this? I'm growing. Like, I feel like if you kind of reach that point when you realize like this sucks, or this is making me uncomfortable, or like sometimes we're always kind of taught that those are like bad vibes or bad feelings, but sometimes that actually means that you're learning and you're growing. And that's a big thing. Like this last year, there were so many times where I was like, I shouldn't be taking a break at all. I should be grinding right now. Like the fact that I'm not working on my career, like, but it was so much more valuable to be working on myself. Like now that I'm like where I am now, like it's so much easier to see that. But like in those moments, there were so many times where I was like, this is so stupid. I hate this. Like, this is making me uncomfortable. But like, if you can just push yourself past that a little bit more, I think you'll realize that you've grown a lot.
Oh my God, I love that so much. Oh my gosh. Working on yourself is tight. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. So Blissful asking me how did I get over the content creation hump finally. It was not thanks to that life coach. It was thanks to it's because I hit rock bottom, and I was like, I have nothing to lose. I told myself, I was like, again, super sad, but I was like,
Yeah.
I really feel like death. I feel like dying. I feel like not existing anymore.
Totally.
And then I was like, well, if I'm just gonna die, I might as well try this thing that I've always wanted to do before I check out. And so, like, I had nothing to lose, and I was like, if everybody hates it, I don't want to be here anyway. But if if it helps somebody, then it'll give me a reason to keep going. And that was a reason to keep going. And then eventually that morphed into more reasons to keep going, instead of just like, I'm just doing this for somebody else. It became, but why am I doing this for myself? What is this giving me? And then eventually that morphed into like, okay, I get satisfaction out of doing these things for other people that make me feel this way about this. But now I'm actually back in the place of like, what does make me happy? Because this is no longer bringing the kind of joy that it used to. And I want that joy back, but this isn't it. So I have to figure out what it is again.
Yeah, totally.
This is not it. It's close, but it's not it either. Does that make sense, fam?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
I was kind of in like, that like resonates with me so much, because I was in the same exact, like during the beginning of COVID, like I was just at rock bottom, and like I thought I just didn't want to do it anymore. So I was doing it for other people, and I kept doing it and doing it and doing it for other people, to the point where I found that joy again, but it wasn't my joy. And like I kind of got back into the space, and I was like, this doesn't really feel right. And that's kind of when I had like my, what should I call it? Crisis, if that's what you would call it. When I called my therapist and I was like having PTSD. And then like from there, I just kind of have been honestly just rebuilding. And now like, honestly, like I can truly say like, I am, after taking a year off, I'm excited to stream again. Like I'm actually like stoked, like, yeah, sure, I'm like nervous a little bit. Of course I want to do a good job, but like I'm like more excited about it now than I've been in a really long time. And that's awesome. So
that's amazing.
Yay!
That's so good to hear. That's so good to hear.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It gives me so much hope, and I hope it gives other people hope too. And
yay.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, the hour just flies by whenever we're hanging out.
I know.
This is so cool. And I love the crap out of you. And I'm always a DM away. Like I'm so grateful that you reached out to me and you're like, I have a story to tell. And I was like, yes, come to my show and tell it. Like that's how I want my guests. That's why I want my guests to come back. So I'm spamming your link all over chat, but tell everybody how they can find you and where you're slowly going to do stuff again. And do all the stuff promo.
I'm on the Twitter box, just at Allie Bakes. I actually have it on my necklace. I don't know if you guys can see it. Probably not.
Oh, that's so cool. Wait, I love
that. But it's at Allie Bakes, ALIBAKES. And then I'm also on Twitch, same handle, and AllieBakes.com. But yeah, I should be streaming pretty soon. I might stream tonight. Honestly, I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna be streaming a lot starting probably this next week, and who knows?
I'm super, super excited to see you got that spark back. Is there anything that like, throw it out into the universe if you're like, I really want to do this thing, like anything you have your mind set on, or you're just kind of taking it
honestly, it would be really cool to like host a show again. And I kind of want to like work up to that. And I don't know. Honestly, it's kind of the reason why I started waiting tables, is every little like interaction I have with someone, I'm like, this is practice for the big guns, you know, like, so yeah, now I'm like kind of hoping to transition to that into streaming full time again, or part time, because probably like 3 days a week is going to be what I'm doing again.
Hey.
And then hopefully that'll transition into a hosting gig, because that's definitely the goal anyways.
I'm so excited for you. I'm so proud of you. And I'm like,
You're awesome.
You're awesome. I'm so happy that like we're connected, and that I reached out to you all that time ago and was like, hey, will you be on my show? And you're like, yes.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was so excited when you invited me on too, because I was like, oh my God. And I wanted to tell you this. You're never going to believe me in a million years.
No.
But I swear to God, I shit you not. I was thinking of, it's a different name that I'm going with. But when I was thinking of podcast names, I shit you not, Safe Point was one of the names that I was thinking of. Because I was like, it's like a save point, but it's also like a safe space.
That's the whole logic. That was it.
Yes!
I'm sorry. I have it. I'm not giving it.
No, it's good. It's perfect for you. But when you reached out to me initially, I was like, oh my God, like I love her, like what she's doing in this space. And like, I feel like we like totally connect. Like we have like the same mindset and it's so awesome. Yeah. So like when I saw that you were doing Safe Point, I was like, freaking of course.
But
like,
I did it
she's
for
awesome.
You're so sweet. I did it for 3 years without a name because nothing made sense. I was like, Mxiety show. I don't know. And then I was walking outside one day with my partner and I was like, Safe Point. And he's like, what?
It's literally, it suits you so well.
You're so sweet.
You.
You're so sweet. If you want to borrow it, we could talk because I am taking a break.
It's totally your thing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you're so sweet. Thank you. Heck, thank you so much. I am sending your links again. Everybody, we will be RB. Thank you so much for being here, Allie Banks. Everybody, go check out Allie on all the things. I love you all. I'll see you soon. Now I'm going to press buttons. Okay? I got this. Bye, everybody. See you soon.
Awesome.